Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of NHLN Opinion Plus, a weekly series airing every Friday. This is a space for our opinions where we talk about current events and questions the Latino community is curious about. Today, we are joined by Mariellen J. MacKay, the Executive Director of NH Foster and Adoptive Parent Association. Welcome, Mariellen. Thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's start off this conversation with if you can talk about the New Hampshire Foster and Adoptive Parent Association, about his history and mission.
Okay, the New Hampshire Foster and Adoptive Parent Association has been around for quite a few years. We started back in the very late 80s, beginning of the 90s, and we incorporated as a 501c3. And we added the word adoptive to our title because we wanted to be more inclusive, and once children did get adopted through the system, we wanted to still be there to be able to support foster parents and foster children who are now in the adoptive position. We also support relative caregivers and kinship caregivers. These are valuable resources for our children, and since our mission is to support and advocate for the children in the state of New Hampshire, this is part and parcel of what we do.
Yeah, so with the mission, what unique challenges has the organization faced due to the pandemic, and how has the pandemic influenced foster and adoptive parents and children?
The pandemic has obviously affected everybody in a myriad of different ways. And for us, I mean, we're here on the front line, so to speak, generally. But when the pandemic hit, kids couldn't go to school, and a lot of families were working from home. So now you are working from home, you're being a teacher, and you're being a foster parent. To be a parent of a child is to bring forth a child into the world and to just parent that child based on your instincts and your, I guess, teachings. You children learn what they live. So did you. And yet with a foster child, you're dealing with maybe some trauma, always some trauma, I should say. Once a child is removed from their biological family and their home, it's very different. Remember that that child has done nothing wrong, and yet the child comes into the system by losing their home and losing their family. And so you step up and you are trying to accommodate and meet those needs. Now, with the pandemic, social workers couldn't come and visit. Children couldn't visit their families. There had to be new and creative ways for foster parents and relative caregivers to negotiate that child's world and to help them navigate through some really, really troubling times and situations, because your child that you're raising sees you every day and has your love and your care reaffirmed all the time. These children didn't have that. They're losing that because they couldn't see. So we right away, you step up with the Zoom, as we're all doing, but that's not the same. And for a 2-year-old, it's vastly different than a 10-year-old. The 10-year-old can comprehend that's mommy, that's daddy. The 2-year-old, it's just different. And so those are some of the things we tried navigating. The pandemic, of course, stopped camps, stopped interaction and support in the outside world. And so with the CARES grant, God bless Governor Sununu, the Foster Parent Association received nearly $500,000. And what we did was we took those dollars and we supported over 900 foster children with grants of up to $500 for each child. And they were able to purchase bikes and helmets and laptops or computers and Chromebooks, because while school would give you one, you had to give it back. If you were getting one, that was yours to keep. Adolescents could now have something where they could go on to the social media sites and stay connected. Children with disabilities could connect with their groups through day programs and be able to play bingo or do whatever they had to do. Everybody got creative, and we found ways to reach out and touch and to embrace. And so, did the pandemic affect? Absolutely. Are we hoping that we are still reinforcing that that child is loved and loved by their family? Yes, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. You mentioned before that most of these kids in foster care have experienced trauma, as a young child. So, what new services are crucial for the children right now during the pandemic, and why do you believe that this is important, especially to the children who have experienced trauma at a young age?
I think this services may not be so much new as the system is there. It's just that the mental health system, like every other system, went to its knees because there was so much demand and there was so little contact. Now, therapists are meeting via Zoom, or they're meeting via a phone call. And so children are beginning to ramp up this support again. The workers are now able to also do the same thing. CASA can do it. All the supports that the child needs around them, they now are beginning to have that access to. The doors are opening again for them, which is a wonderful thing. It was difficult at first. And in the very, very beginning, I don't think the impact was felt. But the longer we went on through the pandemic, the greater the need, because the greater the distance that was happening. And so everybody had to work to come together to find a way to bridge the gap and break that distance down so that that child was getting to see their family. We saw our family. We all felt the pain of not being able to get a hug. Now, if you're removed from your home and you can't go back, or you're not spending the pandemic with your family, how do you bridge that? How do you fix that? And so that's some of the accommodations and modifications that we've all been trying to make. Everybody, right from the mental health system to the DCYF system, the disability world, everyone has the same goal, and everyone is working towards the same ending, that it's positive for everybody involved.
Yeah, so can you tell me about how the community can participate and support NH Foster and Adopted Parents Association? Also, like, how can you participate as a foster parent?
Well, there is, if you come onto our site, we have nhfapa.org. We have ways to link up through DCYF to become a licensed foster parent. The state, the association, we're always wanting foster parents. There's children who always need a foster parent. Not every foster parent is going to meet the need of every child, and not every child is going to fit with every foster parent. And so you need a great vast amount of resources. And in this situation, a foster parent is a resource. If you can love a child, if you can want to help to guide a child, then please think about fostering. And think about fostering when you're empty nesters. Think about fostering when you have maybe young children, children, adolescents. Children who reach adolescence in foster care are the children who need families the most. They're the ones that, people don't think they are capable or have the capacity because they don't understand. But learning together, as you learn with your own child, is the way to go, I guess. But that's the child. That's the one where your heart will break the most, because that's the child who needs the most. And so that's the best way to help. Seriously, you can always support the association with donations. We're taking backpacks and things of that nature, because children come into care generally carrying that green trash bag. That's, not a myth, that's a reality. And so to give a child something that is new and theirs, and they can put their things in, makes them feel more valued. I guess that's the word, because how much value do you have if everything you value is put in a trash bag? It's just not okay.
Yeah. In your opinion, why is an organization like NHFAPA important to be available to the community of foster and adoptive parents in the state?
It's important because as a foster parent, you have different needs, different expectations, and you require different supports. Sometimes you're going to go towards the department or the division, but most times you're going to want to talk to somebody who's in your shoes. Just like any one of us, if you're a knitter, you're going to look for somebody who knits to help you when you have a question about your project or your crocheting or your puzzle, whatever it is you're doing. When you're a brand new parent, you have mommy and me groups. You want to reach out to somebody who understands where you are. And that's what you need. Also, children coming into care know no gender, no culture, no economic. There's no barrier that we don't cross. There is no situation that a child does not come from. And so if a child sees a face like their face, it just makes them feel a little bit more like home.
So, what are different ways people can get involved and support the organization?
You can get involved and support the organization. We're going to be doing a golf tournament. Volunteer, come and say, sure, we'll help you that way. We'll come out and, we'll register people that day, or we'll just talk, have fun. Come and get to know who foster parents are. They're just like you. They're just like me. They're just typical people. But we are an association who is connected even statewide. There's a 6-state group of us, all New England states. We have the New England Regional Foster Care Collaborative, and we get together. And we all are facing the same issues, but we are there to support each other. Even as an association, we recognize you can't go it alone, and you're never going to make it if you're on an island. You need support. There's no I in team.
I agree. So where can they go or contact you for volunteer donations?
They can either go to www.nhfapa.org, or they can call the association at 603-717-5899, or they can email me directly to nhfapaed@gmail.com. And willing to talk, willing to welcome you in. Anything, any kind of support is valuable. Sometimes just being there, just wanting to be a resource is more valuable than you would know.
All right. Thank you so much for talking with us, Executive Director MacKay, and for being our guest on NHLN Opinion Plus.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Tune in next week for another episode. Follow us on Twitter at NH Latino News and Instagram at NH_Latino News. I'm Patricia Lim with NHLN Opinion Plus. See you next time.